Life is too damn expensive, and sometimes it's quite upsetting just existing, needing to consume to survive, and the inevitability that that costs money. It's always weighed on me since I was a child, but since becoming an adult with so many limitations to earn and live the way that I might desire, the futility stopped being a distant prospect, and it is now a debuff to ever feeling wholly free. There are things that are too far gone that I can only speculate on because I cannot accurately feel them anymore. I can only analyze the actions that occurred. But for a time in my early 20s, it's hard to say whether I was in autistic burnout or I had situational depression. Maybe it was both. All through the hell of it, though, one thing never changed: financial insecurity. Growing up, I was far more aware than any child should be of the financial burden it took to maintain me. And I didn't even beg for toys. I played in my room and was content. I didn't ask to go on trips or have recurring expense based hobbies, and whenever I did do something big, the expense often fell on my friend's family, whether they had an extra pair of skis to spare or gas to take the extra bit of trip to bring me. And it was a sad way to be a child, but it prepared me for being a young adult. I was a penny pincher. I stretched the income that me and my ex made from the jobs we could sometimes manage to keep, and the benefits that we relied on when we couldn't. Despite his financial irresponsibility, I got us by for many more years than anyone else would have, never letting us hit absolute zero in our accounts. But we got close. Way too close. So I felt financial insecurity my whole life, even when things were good and I was single and paying for myself, earning savings. It wasn't enough to make it through the transition to something else. Even when me and my current partner both had jobs and a reasonable car payment and a nice rent controlled apartment, I never felt safe. And, true to form, eventually it all always gets used up by something. I'm highly aware that if we didn't live with my partner's parents, we'd have no savings whatsoever, wasting it on rent. And the bit that we do have isn't even close to the down payment that we would need for our own house. It took so long to get where we are, the price of things just keeps going up, and there's no cure for my financial insecurity other than for the world to slow down. There is no stretching my money further, there is only eternally and increasingly working harder until I break. Again. The cost of living is something that, just about haunts my every thought and action. It's a constant balancing scale. I'm always assessing what something will cost. The reason I started with mention of my early 20s was because my financial situation was so tight that decision making could be paralyzing. Sometimes the decision was to not make a decision. Like, yes, I should buy the bulk no name brand of food, even if I hated the taste of it 10 times more if it meant that by the end of the month I'd manage to save enough to buy 3 bags of it when the nicer brand I would only manage to buy 2. But then again, if I just ate less, if I bought nothing, then that's even more cost effective. I could just sleep instead when I'm hungry. That's the sort of weighted decision that I put on myself to combat the financial insecurity that I felt. That level of dedication, and yet I'm still at the bottom. It didn't pay off like the world wants to convince poor people that it will. I feel hounded by the cost of existence. My income is currently in a stalemate with the expense of just existing. Not existing well, or happily, or ideally, just existing, period. And it's pissing me off. For people who don't try and work professionally in a creative field, they usually have no idea how hard it is to get paid for that type of work. Writing, art, it was undervalued before Gen AI came along, and now everybody feels entitled to anything. Why would they pay someone else to do the job? It's a genuine feat to earn money from your creativity, and I managed to over these years. Not much, but some. And I should be proud of myself, but I'm not because it still hasn't gotten me anywhere. Every bit that I've earned has disappeared to some other big expense. I don't think I've made savings in I don't know how long. I don't even contribute to the car payments and insurance. That's me and my partner's deal. I cover the random things so it doesn't interrupt his ability to cover the consistent ones. And you know what happened the other day? Our windshield cracked. Across the whole bottom. Compromising the integrity. Why? It was cold out. It was just cold outside where we live. And despite having ironically just built a heated car tent for the express purpose to prevent that, and paying for the better, more expensive end of insurance, the deductible still ended up being $1,000. $1,000. Over nothing. Poof. Maybe it's my overactive sense of justice, but that doesn't feel fair. I've done so much in my life to minimize expenses, put money over my own well being, and I've always tried to convince myself that my sacrifices will pay off. They have to. And that so long as I am careful, it'll be okay, because the world should be a system of cause and effect. But here it is, the contradictory example to that, clear as fucking day. Absolutely no fault of ours, out of nowhere, just for existing, that's gonna cost $1,000 now. I didn't even manage to make that much from my pathetic creative jobs this quarter because of payment delays. Half a year of effort for me. More. Gone. And I didn't even do anything. So what's the fucking point? I was gifted money to buy a new office chair for my birthday in November, didn't find the time to go get one, and now I'm probably not gonna. It's that eternal sacrifice thing. Life happened, and now I don't feel like I can use that expense for myself anymore. You know what my biggest, most exciting thing I got for Christmas was? New light bulbs, outlets, and a dimmer switch, and that shit cost over $60. It feels like there's always a priority more important than myself, even when the finances were supposed to be for me. And what good is putting myself first when it just means my finances for the future overall get worse for it? I know life can't be free, but why does it cost so fucking much? It's so dismal to try so hard and still never make progress forward because everything costs more but functions less, and there's nothing that I can do about that. Curling up in the dark and wasting away isn't even the answer, because, surprise, surprise, funerals are expensive. Dark joke, but seriously, even the idea of that weighs on me sometimes. That hypothetical. Do I even, am I leaving anything to anyone, or am I just paying for my funeral at this point? A life that perpetually worsens and digs you into financial hole, guaranteeing that you'll never live freely, or cutting your losses in an unwinnable game. I'm not depressed, I promise, I'm just pissed. But, like I said, I used to be. And it's messed up that the system we're in, where it costs so much to just exist, can be the cause of this level of distress, despite anyone's best efforts. I wish I could wake up one day and I'll have lost the ability to worry over things out of my control. To be able to enjoy what I have and be grateful and not dwell over the rest of it, the dismal prospects, and steady decline. But I didn't grow up like that, or grow through that during developmental phases, so I don't know if I'd ever be capable of letting my financial insecurities go. I'm in no position to, currently, obviously. They're very much something I need to be mediating. But even if I won the lottery, I wonder if this system has broken me in a way that I could ever be fixed.